So, our now ripped friend, Felix Sanchez, who Derek is looking for right now to see his
God.
Yeah, look at him. He's looking good. Man. He found a website that accurately tracks your Switch playtime. It's called exophase.com, not to be mistaken with Exoprimal. That's a video game about dinosaurs. And you might be thinking, like, doesn't the Switch do it itself? And yeah, but if you've changed system, it will not quite track your overall playtime. Sometimes it even starts from scratch, which I believe happened with you, Daniel, right?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you never played any games.
When you make the switch from your original Switch to an OLED, sometimes things get weird with your playtimes. But I was able to track down and find, like, luckily a lot of games have like your in-game time as well. So I kind of did a mix of that and whatever it was able to track with Exophase. I was trying to think. Now I'm thinking about dinosaurs.
But you can link your friend code to this website. It also tracks PlayStation Network and Xbox Live as well. I think Steam too, and Google Play. So there's a whole plethora of tracking your gaming time. But this not only does it with your overall library, but it does it right down to the minute. Whereas Switch would be like 5 hours or more, 10 hours or more. But now you can find out the specific time and sort them by playtime. Now, I think it's just your top, like your last 20 games that it counts, right?
Yes, because I actually, before this, I had to go through the process of starting up just about every game. Not every game, but ones that I thought, okay, this is probably a high play time.
Yeah, so we sort of booted what we thought were the most played games, then got an accurate result from that. So we're going to go through our 5 most played games in the Switch era. In a month from now, like 2 weeks from now even. It'll be 7 years old, this console. So this is 7 years of playtime. I think it's fair to say that we're all kind of variety gamers, though. Like, we do have games we've played a bunch, but we're the kind of guys who play lots of stuff rather than putting our lives into just one game. So I don't know how crazy this is going to get. Daniel's giving me looks. I don't know if he's got some crazy stuff going on. But let's just start off with our 5th most played game. And I'm curious about Daniel now with his eyes. So what was your number 5 most played game in the Switch era, Daniel?
The number 5 most played game on this Switch era, clocking in at 228 hours and 1 minute, is Fire Emblem Warriors.
Whoa.
The first one. The first Fire Emblem Warriors. And I was actually surprised about this one, because looking back on it, this is probably the least interesting Warriors game on a Nintendo console. But I was totally new to the entirety of the Warriors games. I hadn't really played any Warriors games until I was introduced to it with Fire Emblem here. And I know this is kind of the underwhelming one, because it has like only characters from Awakening, from Shadow Dragon, and from Fates. There were some DLC characters that brought in some others, like Lyn from Blazing Blade, and from the most recently released at the time, Shadows of Valentia, you had Celica as well. But looking back on it, like I guess I didn't really know the quality of Warriors games back then. A lot of these characters are just skins of each other. There's like very few that are actually unique to each other. But I don't know. It had like a cheesy story with main characters. I don't even remember the names of the original main characters at this point anymore. But yeah, it was just. I guess it's just a game I can kind of vibe out to and just, grind in the background, because there's a lot of supports you can earn that have unique voice dialogue between these crossover characters. You can like earn signature weapons and unlock them to be like super powerful, so you can clear stuff out later. There was a lot of like extra missions you could do with the DLC. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's because actually I played Hyrule Warriors, the first one, afterwards, but when you set these Warriors games into like an actual like open-ended gameplay style, you end up playing it for that much longer. But when you kind of adhere to the style, like very, very faithful to the original game, like Persona 5 or Three Hopes, those have a finite end to them.
Yeah.
And even a game like Age of Calamity, you could 100% that in a reasonable amount of time. So I didn't play those as much as these ones. So I guess that kind of contributes to why I put so much into this one over others.
I mean, when you have that endpoint, it makes sense. And the DLC for Hyrule Warriors and all the definitive editions and stuff like that, we got a little bit of story, but it was mostly just, here's a new map, here's a new board to clear with new missions and stuff like that. So it's so open-ended and so many things that you can actually do. Meanwhile, my favorite of the Warriors types games is honestly still Dragon Quest Heroes.
That's a cool one.
Persona's up there as well.
Yeah.
But Dragon Quest Heroes is a lot of fun. It introduced me to a lot of really cool Dragon Quest characters, but But yeah, I didn't play it as much because it's finite.
Yeah.
Also, it was on
Yeah,
PlayStation.
I was thinking the same thing
never got
there,
that.
because like you always hear that Hyrule Warriors players have like 1,000 hours in that game. Like I played through all the versions of Hyrule Warriors, I enjoyed it, but I never got like 1,000 hours in. But you never hear Fire Emblem Warriors. Like it's always like, oh yeah, that game was alright, it was fine, I finished it, but it's never like I played it for 200 hours. So that's a cool pick.
Yeah.
Derek, though, what's your number 5?
My number 5, and this just goes to show how, I guess, little I play next to Daniel, or how much more variety, maybe. My number 5 at 139 hours and 27 minutes was Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Well, okay.
And yeah, so that is, the full game. I did all the shrines. I explored everything, did every side quest, did the DLC, everything involved with that. The only thing I never did was all the Korok seeds. So that's just me kind of playing normal and the DLC. I didn't really go out of my way to do like 100% completion. I wanted to explore everything, and that was me stopping when I was pretty much satisfied.
I know this one's coming up again. Like Daniel and I both probably have this one on our list somewhere. So,
Oh boy.
I will say, what's not on my list is Tears of the Kingdom, because I've still not finished it. However, it is sitting at 90 hours and 16 minutes, and I still haven't done 2 of the dungeons. I've barely explored the rest of the wider world, and it's like, oh, this is going to be so much bigger.
yeah.
So much longer.
Oh, yeah.
So if I actually finished Tears of the Kingdom in the same way, which was my intention, it would definitely be in the top 5.
It's funny with Tears, because like I've done most of what you can in that game apart from the Koroks, but it's not come close to my Breath of the Wild playtime. I'm not entirely sure why that is. Maybe it's just because like you're discovering more in Breath of the Wild for the first time, like the world itself. And I guess you're doing it a lot faster too, because you have all these vehicles and you're flying. So that a lot of the the on foot time is kind of diminished. But yeah, like Tears didn't enter my top 5 either.
Well, what is in your top 5, John? What's your number 5?
So there's 2 games sort of battling out for the number 5 slot. One of them's Mario Tennis Aces that doesn't quite make it. But the other one is Splatoon 2 at 150 hours and 28 minutes. Daniel's like 50 hours above me for his number 5 slot.
Oh no.
Putting us to shame.
Yeah. Splatoon 2 was like a launch year game, though, and for a while it was just kind of my go-to multiplayer game. I haven't played it in a while, but I played so much just with randoms. I played with friends for a while, too. Like, we'd just do multiplayer nights at the end of each week, and that was always fun. Did the campaign, did Octo Expansion. I adored Splatoon 2. And I think I adored it to the point where Splatoon 3 just kind of felt like more rather than a big jump. I like Splatoon 3, but it's nowhere near my Splatoon 2 hours. I think I played Splatoon 1 just a bit more as well, but yeah, Splatoon's definitely got to that point with me. It was like, I kind of need an overhaul now, rather than just more of the same. But yeah, Splatoon 2, I adored my time with that game.
Yeah, I find myself playing Splatoon 3 less than Splatoon 2, even though I like what Splatoon 3 has done to help evolve the franchise and has done extra things on the side. And who knows, maybe it'll reach a little bit closer there when we play Side Order, because apparently you could play that for a very long time, depending on what kind of gamer you are.
Forever. You don't need to play anything else.
Yeah, that's where you get your extra 100 hours from. Yeah. But let's keep moving. Daniel, what's your number 4?
Well, they're all going to go upward from 200 something hours from here.
How much are we talking?
Actually, it's not too much further beyond Fire Emblem. Going in at 242 hours and 12 minutes is Breath of the Wild. It's Zelda Breath of the Wild. I spent a lot of time with that game. It's just as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot here that we've never experienced before, and so we explore the world a lot more meticulously.
Yeah.
We go a lot slower. We're everything is just new to us, and the Zelda series and franchise has been just turned on its head, and we're just taking it all in. Whereas with Tears of the Kingdom, we kind of already been through this cycle already, and we're kind of just blazing through here and there with the help of different modes of transportation. But looking back at Breath of the Wild, I think probably that one stands out more to me than Tears of the Kingdom. Like Tears of the Kingdom has like a lot of extremely good highs and some unfortunate lows in it as well. And I'm not talking about the Sky Islands or the deaths. But for sure, Breath of the Wild certainly left his mark on me, and I wanted to explore as much as I could. And even then, I don't have anywhere near all the Korok seeds, even with all these hours. I'd probably spend more time just actually exploring, walking around. But yeah, that's pretty much what I did for Tears of the for Breath of the Wild. So,
well, that game will appear later, but not yet. So, Derek, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is, and I'm kind of happy this is on here, Dragon Quest XI S.
Ooh, nice.
Echoes.
Ooh.
I've forgotten it, or Elusive Age, excuse me.
Definitive edition.
Clocking in, yes. Clocking in at 144 hours and 30 minutes. I did everything in this game. I went through the entire story. I hunted down every single chest. I did all the extra stuff with all the 2D like callbacks to the previous Dragon Quest games, which unlocked the super boss of that, which then further unlocked the super boss of that, which I then worked on beating that super boss, and just did every single thing you could think of. And because I was also doing some sort of guides for it, I replayed certain sections multiple times so I could see, for example, what's everybody's marriages like. Surprise, there's a marriage thing in there. Yeah. I'm not going to go any further, but I saw all the results of that, which is kind of fun and funny to see. And I just devoured every inch of this game, so I am not surprised it's at nearly 145 hours. I love this game. It's probably still one of my favorites on the Switch, if not favorite.
It's a defining Switch game for sure. It didn't quite crack my top 5, but it was really close. And I think the only thing I didn't do was play through the game again in the 2D mode, just from beginning to end.
Oh yeah,
I really want to try that someday.
It would be interesting, wouldn't it, to just go all 2D and just see how they interpret some of the key scenes.
Yeah. Because there are like 3 versions of this game. There's like a low poly 3DS version, an HD Switch version, and then another 2D version that came from 3DS and then became on the Switch. There's so many Dragon Quest 11s.
I wish the low poly version was in here too, just for preservation's sake, because honestly, it's a cool style.
Yeah.
I can't believe you said 144 hours. I'm pretty sure when I looked at my file, I was also 144 hours on mine, which is why it's not on the list. And I also did pretty much everything. So there you have it. Dragon Quest 11
takes 144 hours.
144 hours to do everything.
The game. There you go.
Take that. How long to beat?
Yeah. My number 4 is a boring one. It's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that is at 194 hours and 1 minute. And I think I played this on Wii U for like 200 hours. So you can combine this to like 400 if you want to. But yeah, I think this is just like something everyone's played a bunch. You know, it was a year 1 game. It's a multiplayer go-to. There's not much to say about this. I don't play single player much though. It's always online with me, unless people are over. So whenever I play Mario Kart 8, I usually just play online with randoms. I wanted to play battle mode more than I did, because that was like a big deal for this game. Like, Deluxe is adding a proper battle mode after we bitched about it during the Wii U era non-stop. Then they added it, and I was like,
yeah.
10 hours maybe?
I've never really cared about battle modes in Mario Kart. It's just never been as fun for me, and that's why it's definitely not in my top 5, because I already played it to death on Wii U. I did not feel the need to play it a lot until we got all the DLC, and that's what pushed it up to be in my top 10.
Yeah, but this is a decade-old game at this point, and it's going to be exciting when we finally get Mario Kart 9 or whatever they call it, and we can all be like proud of our high playtime in this 10-year-old ported game. But yeah,
that means you're a competitive master of this game now, right? With 400 plus hours.
Oh yeah,
Mario Kart 8.
You can
people
go
to tourneys and.
In fact, when I play online games, like
prize money,
all the other competitors, they just drift off to the sides. Like, no way are we even going to try this guy. And that's usually why you and I are head to head in Mario Kart, Dan. You're the only one brave enough.
Yeah, that's why I'm far behind.
But let's keep dwindling down. Our number 3. Where are you at, Daniel?
Uh-oh.
Oh no! How jump are we getting here?
Oh god!
Clocking in at only 561 hours and 14 minutes is Pokemon Sword.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh,
Pokemon Sword. Okay. So I remember playing this for several hours. You know what the main culprit of this game was shiny hunting. That's the main culprit of these hours. I remember all the way back then when the game was out. Before I even finished doing the eight gym badges, whatever was going on there, I went shiny hunting for a Farfetch, a Galarian Farfetch, because I wanted a shiny Sirfetch that beautiful golden duck. I don't know why I went so hard for it. It would not show up. It took like a whole week of later. Everyone was already done with all the gym badges. They were doing all the other side content. I was going back and forth trying to hatch this stupid duck for too many hours long, and I finally did do it. And that was only the beginning, guys. I would do that for a lot of other Pokemon in the future. And I also kind of went doing shiny hunting with friends as well. There was the Dynamax Adventures, I think they were called.
Yeah.
And you could do multiplayers, and it was a lot easier to get shinies through that as well. So I did that with friends a lot during the day. Funny to go back to it. This game runs at a smooth 30 frames per second, unlike some other Pokemon games do out there. And it looked really nice. I was like, wow, this game looks and runs so nice.
It's so funny going back to it. Like the discourse with Sword and Shield, like prior to release, was like, this is the most ugly game I've ever seen in my life. And you go back to it now, you're like, actually, it's actually quite pleasant. Especially the towns.
Yeah.
They're like really cool designs.
Yeah, it's a give and take with this series, I swear to God. But you know, I that's a chonker of one right there for me.
Yeah, I mean, I played Sword and Shield quite a bit. I think it's my most played Pokemon on the Switch. It was good. Like, I thought it was just kind of a good standard Pokemon. Though it did some evolutions for the series. Like, it dipped its toe in open world. You could see Pokemon on the field, which Let's Go did prior. And it just kind of, like, if you were on the social side especially, you can do, like, all those raids together too, which is something I didn't do that much. But I did try doing shiny hunting, which I found a bit more fun than, like, just, you know, all the random encounters or prior games. But yeah, it's a cool game.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of where I fall. It's a fine game, has some great new Pokemon. The storyline is
Yeah.
I think that's his biggest weakness, is that there's not a whole lot to it.
Did you not like the guys who had like the shield and sword haircuts?
Well,
man, Shieldbert and whatever the hell his guy's
whatever the heck his name was, yeah, got that. I mean, it was also our first instance of DLC, and that was fun to see just how much they added in. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's just a good gen, not excellent. It's fine.
It's not as bad as people made it out to be, but yeah, it's not. It's nothing like crazy special either.
Listen, in like 10 years from now, we're going to be doing retrospectives on this and being like, that was a fantastic Pokemon game. Daniel spent almost 600 hours with it.
Yeah.
Where were we doing? We were playing.
Hey, I'm a diehard defender of Sun and Moon, so I mean, there you go.
Pokemon Black and White were hated when they came out. I remember people being so angry about those games, and now they're like,
I love those.
Everyone loves them. I love them too. But
I was away from the discourse, and I loved them, so.
Yeah. But let's keep moving on, though. Derek, what's your top three?
Yeah. Top three. So my number 3 most played game, jumping up to 200 hours and 39 minutes, Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Nice.
And
the
impressive thing about this, it is only the main game and the DLC. I never did a New Game Plus playthrough of this, and I have still not gotten Cosmos. I think most of that was me trying to get Cosmos, like as I was collecting other things and doing like unique monsters and stuff, and she would not show up. And eventually I gave up. So yeah, that's but yeah, I played the heck out of this game. I did nothing for a month because I got it early for review, and this is a big game to beat in a month. So it's one of my, again, a favorite on the system. I still think it might be my favorite of the Xenoblade trilogy.
It's my favorite in the long run, I feel. Like, when you roll credits, I think there's more to do in 2 that's engaging. A lot of that is finding those blades. I was also trying to get Cosmos so badly, and I did a New Game Plus to sort of get more core crystals to unlock her. And I think I finally got her in just like a common core crystal. It was
I will
crazy.
say this again and again and again. Legendary core crystal should have been a slightly more rare, but guarantee you a rare blade, so you could just use that to get what you don't have.
But are you a Xenoblade 2 defender too, Daniel?
Oh yeah, I think it's my favorite of the 3 Xenoblade games. That coupled with Torna just elevates it even more, because Torna is one of my favorite that's side deals. I mean, I love the Xenoblade 2 and 3 DLC. It's fantastic in general, but yeah, Torna really stuck with me, and it came. I think it came close to this list as well. But I guess the one thing is that the core crystals are really the very divisive thing, because everyone has a bit of a different experience because they have different core crystals, which is a good and bad thing, because these characters are interesting. They have like stories to them. They have unique quests with them, and I don't get to see all of them in one playthrough, so you kind of have to go back, and sometimes you don't see any of them. There are some that you just never see, like Cosmos. So freaking rare. It took a long time for me to get Cosmos, but at that point I had already done everything, so I was just like, well,
what do I do with that now?
Yeah.
We've defended both Xenoblade 2 and Pokemon Sword and Shield in this discussion. I'm glad we have.
Yes, it needs to happen. Also, I got very lucky in my playthrough because I got the girl with the bear, who has a very involved quest over time.
Oh, yeah.
I got her very early on, so I'm like, oh, and in retrospect, it's like, oh, I lucked out with this.
Yeah,
you sure did.
What a cool game. My number 3 is Tetris 99. I love this.
I am not shocked.
This is it's just a comfort game for me. So I often just boot it up and play for like 10 minutes or just like a round or two at a time. And that has culminated in, 241 hours in a minute. I don't play it quite as much as I used to. Whenever they introduce like a new event, adds like a new theme, I tend to come back to it and play for like the rest of the month, but then I kind of put it down again, then rinse and repeat. But it's got to a point where it's just this huge crossover of all these franchises. Like there's Xenoblade Tetris, there's Luigi's Mansion Tetris, there's Fire Emblem Tetris. Like we're gonna look back on this and just like look, Kirby has like 6 Tetris skins. It's a crazy look back at what the Switch was. And it's just so fun. Like no round feels the same to me, and I think that's one problem that Mario 35 ran into. Like, I think that was a great game too, but especially the run up to the final 20 players or so. It's like you're just sort of running through the same stages again and again. Whereas Tetris always has another challenge, and when there's especially when there's someone really good in your room who is targeting you, it can be so visceral to fight them off, and there's nothing like it. Tetris has so many cool forms this generation, whether it's like Party Tetris in Puyo Puyo Tetris, which is also quite competitive too, or like Tetris the Grandmaster, which is crazy hardcore, or Game Boy Tetris, which has its own spin. It's just nice to have all these different forms, but 99 remains my most cherished one, and something that I can always play no matter the mood.
I love how
Makes sense, yeah.
Hearing that a 99 game could reach up this high, because I think they've been very experimental with these as time has gone on. Pac-Man 99, Mario 35, and it's hard because like there's a certain balance in these games that you need to achieve in order to make it be as replayable as it is. I think F-Zero 99 is also going to be something that for me I'll be playing a lot more, because it has that one more feel when you're done with one match. It's quick and fast paced enough that you want to do another one, and you can come back to it every single day, at least a little bit, and try something new. But Tetris 99 definitely. I'm pretty sure I play like Puyo Puyo Tetris more than Tetris 99, because I'm bad at Tetris, and fighting 99 people is very demoralizing when I lose very early. But I definitely I love that. I respect it.
It's interesting what works and what doesn't, because like Mario 35 and Pac-Man are both like, I mean, not really Mario, but Pac-Man's an arcade-rooted game. It's meant to be replayed over and over again, but it's also like a stage-clearing game though. Like there's a beginning, there's an end to it. Whereas Tetris, you just go on and on forever, and F-Zero is just a huge race, really. And I think that's what works with 99. Not so much when it's like you've got to finish the level, but more so you've got to keep endlessly competing. I think that's kind of what makes it all work.
It's kind of surprising they have not done more puzzle games with that. Like, where's Puyo Puyo 99? Where's
Puzzle League 99? Yeah.
Where's Puzzle League 99? Yeah.
Even like Balloon Fight 99 would be kind of cool. I don't know how it would work. I'd have like 99
that'd be chaos.
Everywhere, but I'll play it.
Give it to us.
Daniel, take us to number 2. What's your second most played Switch game? How high are we going here?
All right, everybody.
Hold on to your butts.
Oh boy.
We have at 790 hours and 28 minutes is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Oh my god.
790, did you say?
Yeah. That's it. If you go back to my video, the first video I did on this channel, 5 years of Switch in 5 minutes, there's a very quick screenshot of me just appalled at how many hours I spent in this game already. So I had to actually grab that and do some calculations. But this was during COVID time. This was right when COVID hit. And this game holds a special place in my heart because my previous relationship and myself, we got her a Switch and we played this side by side. I had my TV, the big TV, and then we set up a smaller TV next to mine, so we would play this game side by side for a lot of the time. We were so involved in it for so many hours, and a lot of it was we were just kind of building our islands for each other, sort of like to come visit and see this sort of thing. As seeing each other's islands develop was very fascinating. And there wasn't much else we could do for a lot of those months, so especially the early months. So I'm sure a lot of those hours was just within the first year itself. And as time went on, like I kept coming back to it. There's just something very nice and lovely about the game that made me feel happy. And then like Happy Home Designer or Happy Home Paradise came out as well. I did all the stuff for that game. Just unlocking new stuff, building the island. The island doesn't really look like a fantastic, like it's not a huge, like the ones you see online are
completely
filled with everything. Right. It's kind of a basic island when you comes down to it. But I mean,
is your museum complete?
It's your island. It's your my museum there's a lot in there. It's not complete, but it's getting there. That's another thing. You can play this for so many hours and you could still not complete your museum. It's ridiculous.
What's interesting about the Animal Crossing discourse is I think a lot of us were conditioned to play this game in a way that it wasn't meant to be played. Because like we had a lot of time during COVID era. And Animal Crossing's meant to be something like you check it at the start of the day, maybe you hang out with your friends, but you're not meant to like just sort of charge through and complete this thing. So like we were seeing content at a rate that it wasn't really meant to be experienced in. And I think a lot of people sort of fell off because of that. Like, this New Leaf was better. And maybe New Leaf was better in some ways. But New Horizons is so good, man. And I played it for over 100 hours. Nowhere near you, Daniel. But I had a lot of time just chilling out with friends online. I'd love to go and fishing. I love checking the fossils in the morning. I think this definitely deserves to be remembered as one of the premier Animal Crossings. New Leaf does cool things too. New Leaf had those Nintendo masks and things, and you can play Puzzle League in New Leaf, which you can't do in New Horizons, but there's so many other cool things you can do in that game.
I can't get into those social life games, so I picked up Animal Crossing to play with Amy, but then she got sick with COVID, so wasn't able to really play that a whole lot, and then just lost interest in like this. Yeah, it's still not my thing. I understand why people get into it, just not my thing.
It's been my addiction since Wild World. I played City Folk for I don't even know how long, many hours, and then New Leaf as well. So it's just a series I've been really attached to for many years, and that's probably why I spent far too much of my life in this little area.
Was this your most played Animal Crossing, do you think, or did the other ones dethrone that?
Oh yeah.
This
is definitely the most played Animal Crossing. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, Derek, what is your number 2 slot for your most played Switch game?
So just slightly ahead of the number 3 spot is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 with 203 hours and 33.
Oh,
yeah, slightly more than 2, which is interesting because I did not do a whole lot extra. I think it just goes to show. Actually, well, I did everything I could in that game as well. I did all the side quests and interact with all the characters and saw everything that you could do. And then of course we had the DLC. With all of its various things here and there, just doing all of that stuff. And it's not too surprising to me because I played it over the course of a year.
Sure.
So the nice thing is that I was, because I was so slow at it, and I was just chipping away gradually over that time, I was able to integrate the DLC that came out as I was playing it. Like the Eno came out. Oh, cool. There she is. Cool. I'll grab her and be good to go. The Jewel Crafter girl came out. It's like, oh, okay. I'm still playing, so I can still grab her and just integrate her into it. So I didn't have to like divert or find extra time to do these things. And the nice thing about Eno as well, because she had all those special founts to pull from, I was able to just naturally go for those as I played through the game, which gave it a bit of a different feel. And then as soon as I wrapped up, like 2 months after I finished, before I finished, I should say, the DLC came out, so I was able to just roll right into that and really take the story as its own thing. And while I mean, there are some moments in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that I think are the best of the entire franchise, but it also while the ending is hype in its own way, it didn't get me hyped in the same way as Xenoblade Chronicles 2. 2 felt like just this endless build up at the end. It's just, oh my god, what's going to happen next? Oh my god, what's going to happen next? And just really carried me through. And 3, I feel like Mobius never quite reached its full potential. No. It had moments in there, but it didn't quite reach there. I think the villains were kind of just okay in this game, and I think that's sort of where I fell a little bit. But the characters are fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of the Mobius were just very like villain of the week. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna cause some problems, and you have to stop me. Like that's just how most of them go.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in saying that 3's just if you're like beelining 3, is it shorter than 2? Because I felt like my campaign was shorter than 2 was.
I think so. Because I think it's a lot more easy. It's a lot easier to beeline it.
Yeah. But if you're doing everything, though, then obviously it spreads out far more. I mostly did the campaign of 3, like just mostly focusing on the main quest and then also doing all the character quests and a few other bits. But I didn't do every single side quest in there. And I played it for a bit less than 2, but it's still pretty comparable.
Probably the best battle system in the series, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, the whole bit with Mobius is like, oh man, we got to make one for every single letter of the alphabet. What are we gonna do? Make this one like poison their food or something. I don't know.
Oh, I hate scissors. I want to get rid of all the scissors in the world. Who's gonna stop me?
I think Xenoblade 3 had like the most focused cast because they all kind of seem like they could be. They all contribute to the story in their own way, very like evenly. Of course, Noah's the main character, but you have Noah and Mio kind of equally contributing, and just the way they kind of, they get to know each other, completely hating each other, and then how that kind of grows into something else as the entire story goes. I think that's a really well done like character arc for a lot of them. But yeah, there is parts of it that just kind of fall by the wayside, and if you just kind of ignore all the side quests, which are very in-depth, like they're all fully voiced, they're very integral to the story, you kind of need to play them to get the entire scope of it. But if you kind of ignore them, you pretty much have like the shortest Xenoblade game on hand if you wanted to just go straight for the next chapter and the next chapter. So I don't know. Yeah, I think I still hold 2 higher in regards than 3. I love 3. I love all the Xenoblade games, but I still think 2 kind of is a bit up there further for me as regards to that. Does that also count for playing Future Redeemed as well?
Pretty sure it does.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Okay,
it's part of the whole thing. And Future Redeemed was there just for old school fans. Like, here, have a treat. We didn't get to give you as much as you might have expected in the main game because we wanted to make it as accessible as possible for newcomers, but here's all your connections to the past games.
Here's the ending you wanted. Yeah,
and that felt good to have.
Well, my number 2 is something we've discussed at length, so I'll keep this short, but mine is Breath of the Wild at 367 hours and 31 minutes.
Well, you played it twice, didn't you?
I did everything in Breath of the Wild, yeah. My primary save file, I found every Korok. If you open the map, it says 100%. I finished the game on a stream because I was looking for that one Korok and I managed to find it, but the map didn't say 100%. It was like 99.76 or something. And I was like, I don't know what that final little bit was, but someone in chat was like, did you find the hidden entrance in Hyrule Castle where the King's Book is? And I was like, that's so specific. But no, so I went over there, and that is what kicked it over to 100%. I don't know how they knew, but yeah, somehow I missed that because the percentage also counts every area that you've been in. But yeah, I adore Breath of the Wild. I did it on Master Mode. I did it on the main mode. It's like one of those games that I can just boot up, just walk around, do nothing, and just feel like I've just sort of de-stressed doing that. I guess it's kind of like ASMR. Like you can just turn on, hear the environments of the world, and just walk about. There were some times where I'll just get on a horse and just let it guide me around, and I'll just sort of sit back and be like, this is my life now. Yeah, I think it's just such a pivotal game. Tears of the Kingdom is like more of it, but it won't ever be as special as it to me. So I think to this day, while Tears of the Kingdom might be a better game in many ways and achieve more and be more technically ambitious and impressive, I think Breath of the Wild is the one that I'd still put ahead of it, just for those core memories and just general pacing.
There's definitely a discussion somewhere to be had about whether it's Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom that people love more, will remember more, or is better. But Breath of the Wild definitely just left its mark in so many different ways. And yeah, as you said, like it's such a chilled environment. You could just wander the world, and you don't even have to fight anything. You just walk around the world.
Yeah.
You may end up in a town just randomly going in any direction, and you could just just be that adventure you never could be. In a Zelda game where you can actually go anywhere that you want to. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it was the Switch launch title too. Like there was nothing else like this, and it took a long time for there to ever be anything else like that. I think like Mario Odyssey was probably the next thing of that scale after Breath of the Wild, and they're still not even really the same scale. Like that's a sandbox game. It really like it showed like this little tablet console can do something that no other game is doing right now. And like without Breath of the Wild, I don't know if the Switch would be anywhere near as successful as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. It was a strong kickoff for it, and then Nintendo was able to capitalize eventually with those other games.
Yeah,
and it's impressive to say for sure.
Yeah. So we've discussed a lot of games already, but we're at the end now. The number 1 slot. Daniel's previous entry was over 700 hours. How much higher can you possibly go?
Remember when you said we were all variety gamers?
Well, Daniel was pulling a little look when I said that. It's like, are we though?
Well, maybe not as surprising, but we have the last one hitting at 1,147 hours and 13 minutes.
Oh my god.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Probably is surprising to not very many people.
No.
Yeah, I might like Smash Brothers a little bit here and there.
Just the tad.
I mean, this is a series that I've been playing since N64 days. I got my cartridge still, played Melee with friends. That's when I started to be competitive and realized I actually suck at the game. And then Brawl happened, and that started to become more competitive. I got involved with a lot of people in the community. Smash 4 was a lot more quieter for me. But I did get to that's when I introduced myself to you guys. I started watching you guys with your coverage of Smash 4. And now here we are talking about Ultimate. But yeah, I spent so many hours in this, it's kind of ridiculous. I love playing every character in this game. I could play maybe somewhat at least decently because I love to just dabble with everyone. Everyone has such a unique moveset. Everyone has so much to offer. And it's just fan service of the game. Everyone is here. Like we just got the Sora amiibo. The fact that Sora is even within this realm of conversation is amazing in itself. Sakurai completed something absolutely incredible that probably will never be done again within video games ever. And I want to take it all in as much as I can. And probably that those hours probably aren't going to stop. I mean, we're still getting new spirits.
Yeah,
those hours are still going to keep going to the very end of the Switch life cycle. So yeah, we hit 1,000, lads.
You did it. You've done it.
You're either proud. You're either very proud or disappointed in me.
I mean, how you spend your time.
My question.
How you spend your time is like people spend time on different things. They can spend time.
Oh yeah.
You know, working, they can spend time playing games, they can spend time watching movies. As long as you're enjoying yourself, it doesn't matter how you spend your time. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. I'd be very curious to see how your Genshin Impact playtime compares.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh, you know what? When you're on your PS5, when you're on that home menu, you can see in the corner how many hours you spent on any game that you have. And I'm not happy with that number either. Maybe one day if we do bigger. we could do our PlayStation hours one day, and then we'll find out.
Yeah. But before we move on, Derek, is your game also Smash, or do you have something different?
It is something different.
Okay, I'll go first then, because mine is also Smash. So not as impressive as Daniel's, but mine is 706 hours and 4 minutes.
Dang, that one was a jump, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went from it's like double. Like Breath of the Wild was 367 hours, so you have more than double. I played this a ton as well. Something I did a lot with this was I got quite addicted to Elite Smash. So basically with Elite Smash, if you guys haven't heard of it, basically what it is it's a point system. And if a character loses, they lose points. If they win, they gain points. But you kind of get punished for it, though. Like if you lose more points. If you win like a little bit of points. So you're kind of rewarded for consecutive wins. And it gets very addicting if you lose a bunch. and you're like, okay, I have to be good now, otherwise this score is going to be low forever, and this character will never get into Elite Smash. I got very lucky with all the DLC characters, because your score starts off at like your base overall roster score, which usually is like a win or two away from Elite Smash. So with some of the DLC characters, I was like, okay, I won the very first battle against someone else who's also never used this character, so everyone's rusty. And then they get into Elite Smash. I'm like, okay, I can never play as this character ever again, otherwise they could lose this status. So I'm then terrible as them. But I think I got like over 20 characters in. I know some people have done like all of them, but there's a lot of characters that I've just doomed to have a low score, and they're never going to recover from that.
The way that you're talking about having Elite Smash characters, or the DLC characters in Elite Smash, like that's so true. Like I would try to get them in as soon as I could, and then just never bother. Like Steve's in there. I never play as Steve, hardly ever, but he's there in Elite Smash. Oh my god, dude! I played as Pyra and Mythra like that first night of Elite Smash, and then I fight someone called Alpha Rad, and I'm just like, that's not him. It was him. It was actually him. I was on one of his videos one time for Pyra Mythra. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess Smash is a crazy world, man. But
he's a terrifying man. Yeah. If you see him run, it's like Mario Kart. If you see him just go to the side, just let him win. It's not worth fighting.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had Derek's now, so let's finish this thing off. What's your most played Switch game?
My most played Switch game is really funny to me because I did one playthrough and then I did a playthrough with Amy.
Oh.
And Amy's playthrough, I think, skewed the hours massively.
Okay.
Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Interesting.
I played it for 252 hours and 49 minutes.
Wow.
Now, I did a single playthrough as the Black Eagles. Did my whole thing. Probably did a typical playtime. Nothing too major, anything like that. Dabbled a little bit with like the alternate route that you can go with Black Eagles in there. Dabbled a little bit with the DLC when it first came out, but never played through it the whole way. But then Amy was interested in trying out her first Fire Emblem on stream, so I joined her for it. And when she first started, she was just doing her own, and she was not confident and very slow at it. And then I started helping her and started doing the battles. However, she was very determined to have every single character recruited on her team.
Oh, no.
I did not do that my playthrough. That makes the second half so much longer when you have to talk to all these people and are trying to get all these meals because they were interested in seeing all these interactions with all the characters. Still have not done all of them, plus the DLC. And I still have only done the Black Eagle and and Blue Lion. I still have not seen anything of Golden Deer, and I'm at 252 hours for this game. Okay. It's just how much longer it takes.
I remember those streams. I would tune into those streams, and I was like, "You're really gonna get everybody in this?" Like, usually your first playthrough is mostly you'll recruit a couple of students from the other houses, but not like everyone, because that really bloats up the time. In the second half, in the war arc, all these students, they have their own chapters as well, their own paralogs, and so that extends it even further. But yeah, I remember those days with you guys playing.
She just didn't want to kill anybody.
She just didn't want to, like, the pain of having like Mercedes kill Annette and the tragic like no, she wanted to just see everyone get along and be happy. I mean, that makes sense. I don't think Amy wants to see anyone of her friends die. So
yeah,
I am curious where you fell with this, Daniel, in our account, because like for me, I finally played Three Houses. It took a long time. But it was like, I want to say it was like under 50 hours for me, because I just kind of did one story and then kind of just rolled out from there. But I know Ash was always intimidated, because he's like, you got to do all of them? It's like, no, you don't have to do all of them. But if you do all of them, it adds up so much.
Yeah, it paints a clearer picture of the story.
It's weird because I was looking things up. I actually played Three Houses less than Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition.
Whoa.
And I think the reason is because when you do one route of Fire Emblem Three Houses, like even in one route towards the end, it kind of gets exhausting to go everywhere, all around, talk to everybody, and to think about doing that again for another route. I was like, I'm just gonna blaze through doing all this time. Like I'm gonna recruit as many people as I can and just kind of go through it a lot faster. So I also haven't I just haven't done the Golden Deer route. That's still the route I haven't done yet, which I feel like I should, because it has like the most climactic ending with the best song in the game at the very end, apparently. And I think it's like maybe 140 something hour. Maybe it's around Derek's time actually, or not Derek,
sure.
but like
it's like standard one without Amy.
The funny thing is that Amy started with Golden Deer, but everybody's like, no, you should do Blue Lion. It's more beginner friendly, and she switched. But then when she sees how Blue Lions are after the time skip, she was like, I don't know about this.
Don't listen to people. Like, trust your gut.
Follow your heart with these things.
Yeah. It's like picking a starter Pokemon. Don't listen to whatever people say. Whichever you think's the cutest.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, my starter was Edelgard, but I became a true Blue Lion by the end.
I'm Edelgard did nothing wrong. I'm still a firm believer.
I love the Blue Lions cast too much to go back now. But shout out to Cindered Shadows. I love the Ashen Wolves too. That was a great
fun.
DLC as well.
It's been really interesting reflecting on this stuff. I was going through my library, being like, surely there's something higher than this. But like, there's a lot of games I've played for 50 hours. There's a bunch of games I've played for over 100 hours. But nothing really comes like over that. Not much comes over that 200-hour gap for me. But there's, I think there's probably more 50 and 100-hour games on the Switch for me than a lot of consoles in recent memory. Just because like how easy it is to play games on this thing, like especially with kids. I'm sure Derek has experienced this. Like you can't just sit down on the TV and play a game, especially it depends on what the game is. But you have like so much to attend to, so much to shield their eyes from. But every now and then, it's easy for me just to pick up the Switch and play for like 10-15 minutes when I get a chance to, and that really keeps my game time flowing.
Oh yeah, and if you gave me enough time, there'd be probably another game above 100 because it's already close in a single year. Theater Rhythm, 80 hours.
Whoa, okay, nice.
Yeah, and that's from a single year, but it was also Kai actually liked watching it. It was something I put on the TV and play, and he'd actually be entertained by. And I had all kinds of DLC, and as you said, it's just super easy to pick up and play, especially when you have kids.
Yeah, but.
Sure.
Really interested in hearing the comments most played Switch games, though. Like, what have you guys played the most? I'm sure there's people out there who have toppled us over and over again. Whenever I play Mario Tennis Aces and I lose, like, to a really good player, I always go into my profile, look at recently played players, and see how long they've played for. And there was this one guy who had played for, like, 4,000 hours. And that wasn't even his only game, though. Like, he's like played Fortnite for 1,000 hours, played... I don't know what else for 1,000 hours. Like, this guy's just always playing. But you know, a lot of people. It's weird. Like we're the weirdos. Most people don't own like 200 games on one console. That is weird. A lot of people only have like 10 to 20 throughout the entire life cycle, and so it's more normal to play one game for 1,000 hours than it is to play 400 of them for 1,000 hours.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm intrigued to hear what people have played. Anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you for joining us on this kind of a look back on the Switch's life on our most played stuff. Just 5 each, but I like how our lists mostly differ. Like we all have Breath of the Wild in there somewhere, but for the most part, very different games. And there's cool surprises in there too. But if you want to, though, you can join us in the future via our Patreon, where you can watch discussions live as they're recorded. This one is going to go public to patrons before it goes to the public on YouTube, which happens with a lot of our videos. And you can also do things like contribute to GVG Cast by suggesting topics, and far, far more. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Till we meet again.